Now, really quickly, I would like to bring your attention to this Venn diagram. Now, if you're thinking, B, this is not a Venn diagram. Typically, the two circles meet, where they share their common interests. And that, my friends, is exactly my point, because I share nothing in common with a medical professional. I'm not someone that you should listen to for diet or health concerns. I'm just a random person on the internet, trying stuff out for myself and documenting my weight loss journey. These are the people that you should be listening to and getting advice from. This is someone who, at best, on a good day, their content can be described as for entertainment purposes only. And that's even a stretch. So, keto. You probably already had a pretty strong reaction to that word by itself. It's kind of one of those things like CrossFit, you either love it or love to hate it. When I kind of mentioned that I was going to try keto for 30 days, I had a mixed bag of reactions. I had people on one end super excited, like I did so well on keto, I lost all this weight, and I had the other side of people hating it and warning me about all the medical things that have happened to them or people that they know from trying keto. So I was like, oh, this is kind of controversial. This is a very polarizing topic. I had filmed an entire month's worth of footage for this keto video. I was sifting through it and I kind of realized I make a lot of jokes. I mess around. It's like what I do. But I didn't want this video to be that because how I feel about keto now. And I will never, ever, ever do keto again. And I don't promote it. I didn't want to show that 30 days in chronological order and have me goofing around and everything good, and then maybe someone clicks off mid-video and doesn't get to the end when it's bad, you know what I mean, and completely miss the message. So I scrapped all of that. It sucks to film for an entire month, but I kind of want to do the responsible thing and share my experience this way, because I think it would be a more effective message than, adding my tomfoolery in the mix. So basically, let's just go over very briefly what keto is. Ketosis is actually a metabolic adaptation that, allowed us to survive in famine. The body's main source of fuel is glucose, which is broken down from carbs. But in absence of that, which, maybe our ancestors would go through periods where they would be fasting for a while, we have this secondary source of fuel that kicks in. Like the liver produces these ketone bodies, which can be broken down and used as fuel, as an alternate fuel source. It's why our body stores fat. But like anything in modern times, we have somehow tried to hijack this into a weight loss strategy. Someone figured out that when you're in a state of ketosis, it helps lower blood sugar and it can help you lose weight more quickly. It's a pretty restrictive diet. You're supposed to get 70 to 70% of your daily caloric intake from fat, 15 to 20% from protein, and the remaining 5% from carbs. And for me and my specific daily caloric needs in a calorie deficit, that only equaled out to about 18 grams of carbs a day. Kind of extreme. I definitely typically eat a lot more carbs than that. So I want to mention that my reason for doing this actually wasn't related to weight loss at all. My MO for this whole weight loss journey is not to lose weight quickly. I think I've reiterated that several times now. But I was interested in keto because I have PCOS, or polycystic ovarian syndrome. It's a pretty common endocrine disorder where most women who have PCOS have cysts on their ovaries, and it causes a myriad of symptoms that aren't very pleasant, which I'll list right here. Of these symptoms, I exhibit these ones. And that's what I was interested in, kind of diminishing with keto. Also, I want to say, carbs are not bad for you, fat is not bad for you, protein is not bad for you. What I kind of liked about keto was that I think in the late 90s, early 2000s, fat was deemed bad for you. There were all these products coming out that were like fat-free this, fat-free that. There was a lot of slander about fat. And keto kind of took that concept and turned it on its head, because there's all these people who are losing a lot of weight and eating a lot of fat. But at the same time, keto is also kind of demonizing carbs, but I personally didn't look at it that way. I was looking at it carbs are just kind of getting in the way of putting my body into this state of ketosis. Carbs aren't bad for me, they would just be interrupting the process. But I can definitely see how it could lead to disordered eating. If you looked at it oh, carbs are bad. But yeah, with anything, I think that there's people who would do better on a low carb diet, depending on your genetics, your body, it's going to be different for everybody. And that's why I think that there's not a one-size-all weight loss solution. I think it's very individual. For example, a very extreme example, like generally shellfish is considered safe to eat. If you're allergic to shellfish, you shouldn't eat the shellfish. You know, same with like carbs and like diabetes. Like maybe you should limit it a little bit. In general, they're not bad, but if you have a condition, maybe they're not the best. So I'm looking at this from the point of view as I have a condition. So I'm going to try this that is supposed to be helpful for my condition. But there were kind of a few disclaimers for keto that I want to roll through really quickly and, you know, maybe like put some imagery of like people having fun in a bathtub, because that's what they do on the pharmaceutical commercials when they're going through the laundry list of conditions that are dangerous for you. And I'll read the disclaimer for keto. The keto diet could cause low blood pressure, kidney stones, constipation, nutrient deficiencies, and increased risk of heart disease. Strict diets like keto could also cause social isolation or disordered eating. Keto is not safe for those with any conditions involving their pancreas, liver, thyroid, or gallbladder. So, all the disclaimers out of the way, I'm going to share with you my experience on keto. My initial thoughts on this is going to be hard. You know, I am a carbohydrate queen, and keto's pretty restrictive. No bread, there's a limit on certain types of fruits and vegetables that you can't have, you know, so I was like, this is going to be kind of difficult. However, that wasn't the case at all. The diet was completely easy to follow. I had no cravings whatsoever, and like, I wasn't starving. I was kind of worried because when you're eating a lot more fat, it's a lot more calorically dense foods. So the portions were smaller, but the foods I was eating were satisfying and I wasn't hungry or anything like that. So I was very surprised. Like, it was going so well that I was sure that I was doing it wrong, that I was calculating my carbs wrong or something. I was like, why do I feel like this is fine? Just a heads up, I'm going to be talking about like bodily functions like pooping and my period and stuff like that. So if you're like sensitive to that kind of stuff, just click off. But I want to be like thorough in like what happened to me, you know, because the other side of like eating it is, you know. But anyway, so all of week 1, I was expecting for this keto flu thing that I kept hearing about to happen, and it really never did. I guess some people just don't get it. I had diarrhea, but it wasn't like food poisoning, having to run to the bathroom every 30 minutes diarrhea. It was like just when I went, it was loose. You know what I mean? And I had a headache one day, but it really wasn't anything severe. And I had been getting headaches prior because, you know, like I said, I need new glasses. They still haven't come in yet. So I wasn't really sure if I was in ketosis or not. I ended up getting these urine testing strips for keto. They're these little strips that you just pee on in a clean catch method kind of way. It detects ketones in your urine and tells you if you're in ketosis and like how far in you are, depending on how purple the little stick turned. I think it was like 0.5 and you're in ketosis. Now, the urine sticks aren't the most reliable method to testing. The most accurate way is through like a blood stick thing, but I didn't really want to go through all that because, like, you know, I was just trying keto out for a month. And the pee stick seemed like a very doable option for my purposes. Week 1, I was kind of eating like more higher fat foods. I was doing something that they call dirty keto, where, you know, like, it doesn't really matter the types of fat or anything that you're eating. It's just staying under that carb goal. You know, I was just trying to get in the swing of things, not really being too strict because it was already pretty strict, you know. And then I kind of realized on my MyFitnessPal how little fiber I was getting, which might have been contributing to the diarrhea, I don't know. But like, I started increasing my fibrous vegetables and trying to eat a little bit cleaner, like less bacon. So week 2 rolls around, and I am feeling more focused than I have been in a really long time. Like, the mental clarity, the energy, my mood was level. Like, it was actually amazing. I was like, is this the holy grail? Have I found it? Why have I never experienced this before? Was this the answer all along? Was just eating a lot of fat? So like, I'm loving keto at this point. Like, I'm like, okay, this is forever. Like, I'm gonna do this forever. So like I said, my mood's going along really evenly, and then just one night it sinks drastically, like to the point where like I'm in despair. Like, I'm having full-blown existential crisis. Nothing matters. There's no hope, you know, just really down. You know, I've been there before. I deal with this kind of stuff. I just thought it was odd because it was just such a sharp contrast from feeling like very good to very bad in a very short amount of time. But then I woke up the next morning and it all kind of made sense, because Shark Week was happening to me. Now, a little bit of like too much information. My period is very regular. I'm on hormonal birth control to help control like my PCOS. Whenever the week comes with those little placebo pills, that's when I start my period. It lasts 3 days, very light, very little cramping. It's, it's super easy. Like, I don't even keep pain reliever medication with me because like I never have to use it. My period's pretty mild. But this one in contrast was a little bit different because it had started a week earlier than like those little placebo pills, and it was hell. Like, it was 7 full days, constant bleeding. The most horrific cramps that I've ever experienced. One day it was so bad, I was driving home from work and I had to pull over on the side of the road because I felt like I was going to pass out from the pain. So that situation goes to show that keto was having a pretty profound effect on my hormones, having an effect on my body, more drastic ways than I thought it was. Because if it can disrupt like your whole ass period, and when it happens, it's doing some stuff in there. So that brings us to week 3. And this is where the stress starts. You guys know I just signed for my house. I'm getting in there. I had mentioned that there was like a lot of things going on with the house, resulting in making a lot of appointments with contractors, electricians, plumbers, basically everybody, basically to make sure that I'm not going to be living in a fire hazard death trap and that it's going to be safe and then I'm not going to flip an electrical switch and go out in a blaze of glory. So the stress of like the whole house situation, coupled with regular job stress, coupled with family drama, because everything has to just happen at once, I was just experiencing a lot of anxiety. And I started getting this dull ache in the upper left side of my abdomen. So this is something that happens a lot when I'm experiencing a lot of anxiety. I do get tight feeling in where my stomach is. And so I was just very much contributing that feeling to anxiety because I was under a lot of stress. And of course, something else I do when I'm under a lot of stress is I want to binge. I'm pretty proud to say that I didn't binge at all. And, I suppressed those feelings and I, just stuck to keto. I stuck to the diet. I started feeling like way more bloated and uncomfortable though as time went on. Like I felt like I was constantly like pushing out my stomach or like holding my breath, which was odd. But I'm still kind of marking it off to like coming off the tail end of my period and, the anxiety. So now we're into week 4. The discomfort in my stomach is nearly constant at this point. Like, let me just say, like, it's not like hurting. If at any time it was like hurting or very painful, I would have gone to the emergency room. I would have gone to the doctor right then and there. It was just kind of like a dull ache and I was feeling like very bloated. Honestly, like constipated at this point. And, I'm just thinking like, I need to go to the bathroom. So I start like WebMDing stuff. I'm trying to like self-diagnose. I'm trying to like figure out what's wrong with me. Trying to see if I'm dying. Maybe I should do something about this. And I'm convinced that I have a stomach ulcer. So I'm like looking on like all these websites, symptoms of a stomach ulcer, like all this stuff. Cause I'm, like after 29 years of being as high anxiety as I am, I'm like convinced that this is what I have. I've finally done it. I've given myself an ulcer. But as I was researching that, other things started coming up. It turns out that like, very close to your stomach up here is your pancreas. And then I started thinking back to like that keto warning where it was like listing the people who shouldn't do keto, like people who had specific conditions with certain organs like their gallbladder and their pancreas and their liver and stuff like that. And I realized that like when I was seeing if this diet would be something for me, I was only thinking about it from like my perspective. Like I don't have any known problems with any of those organs, but I do have a family history of pancreatic cancer. My grandfather on my dad's side passed away from pancreatic cancer, and my aunt on my dad's side passed away in her mid-40s, tragically soon, from pancreatic cancer. So now I am a little bit worried about my pancreas and what's going on with it and if it's okay. It still could be an ulcer, but we're just gonna like take it step by step and see. So where are we now? I'm still feeling extremely bloated. I'm still kind of feeling a dull pain up here. I've been taking my mom's Miralax for a little while, trying to like, So I stepped on the scale and I now weigh 230 pounds, which when I started this whole keto experiment, I weighed around like 226. So that means I gained weight. And week 1 and week 2, I was actively losing weight. Like I lost 3 pounds around like 3 pounds the first week and around 2 pounds the second week. We were 5 pounds down, and then after 30 days, I weigh 230 pounds. I didn't film it. I should have filmed it. I think that this was the only time in my entire weight loss journey when I looked at the number on the scale and felt sad about it. And you know, it's not really about like the number itself. It's about like having stuck to something completely for a month and thinking that like you're doing something in your best interest or something that would help me in some way. And, you know, like week 2, I was thinking that it was. Like, I was thinking that this was the holy grail. You know, I had fixed all my issues. And then for it to not be the answer and, you know, to actively feel like I had just been doing something so drastically bad for my body for the past month, where it feels like my organs are rotting. You feel defeated. I'm just telling you, it sucks to like tell 300,000 people that you gained weight. Again, it just blows. You know what would probably be like the most beneficial thing for me to do is like trying to manage stress a little better, you know, as well as like trying to eat healthy and work out. And you know what? Maybe like this whole thing wasn't for nothing. It wasn't bad. Not saying that I promote keto or anything like that, because I don't. I definitely don't. But I'm trying to look on the positive side of this, and okay, so maybe there's something wrong with my pancreas. It might have been good to like irritate it and make me aware of this situation so I could go to an actual doctor, figure out if there's something wrong, and ways to help that. But yeah, that's my whole spiel. Feeling a little bit defeated in this one, but we'll keep on trying till we get it. So eventually, hopefully, something will go right. We've kind of had a pretty tumultuous last few months. Hopefully, it gets a little bit smoother from here. But anyways, guys, I will see you on the next one. Bye!